right? Is it up on
Yep.
everybody's end?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So just because you don't understand, it doesn't mean it isn't so. That is what Lemony Snicket said. Today we are going to talk to you guys about mental health and how we felt that it was lacking in certain areas and how we went about constructing this project. So, what we decided our thesis is to find out where we felt that the mental health program was lacking in areas and how much people really knew about it. So, to begin, we are first going to talk about our problem area selection, in which we chose what we would do our project on. Then we will talk about the construction of our interview guide, which is the beginning part of our survey, but what we did right before we created it. Then we will talk about the construction of our survey, which has many parts, including togetherness and individual. We will move on to how we administered our survey throughout our community, school, etc. And then we will move on to coding, tabulations, and analysis of our survey. So, after telling you a little about what we're going to talk about, I'm going to go ahead and start with the problem area selection. As a group, when we originally got this project, we all just started brainstorming on ideas and things that we thought the community could improve on or that we've seen as lacking. So we talked over email, we communicated through Blackboard. We did have a few issues originally because what I didn't realize is when I sent out an original email through Blackboard, it didn't make it a group email. But we luckily were able to figure all that out and eventually got started. We then asked that everybody come up with an idea, and from that, we created a list. And then everybody took a vote on the list. Mental health won. We actually had homelessness and, the busing systems as other ones, but most of the votes were for mental health. Next, I want to talk about a little bit of the outside research that we did. Now, when picking our topic, we went out and looked. First, we started with our group and how much we knew as a group about mental health. Some of us have personal mental health issues that we discussed with each other and accepted and decided to go ahead and move forward on. Some of us have family members that we lived with or know that have mental health issues or have passed through mental health issues. Then we looked at the community and the school to see what outside resources we could find. After looking at the school, it wasn't really like there was a lot of pamphlets available like throughout different colleges at the university. And it's not like you can go somewhere and look everywhere and see, something about mental health. And then talking to people before we actually conducted anything, a lot of what was noticed was that no one wanted to talk about it. It was not like it was just something that we were all okay speaking on because a lot of us have been taught that you don't really speak about, your mental health or your family's mental health because it is sometimes viewed as wrong and it shouldn't be viewed as wrong, but we all view it as wrong. So everybody didn't feel comfortable talking about it, and that is how we conducted our research. Next, I'm going to send it over to Catherine to tell us a little bit about the construction of our interview guide.
So we had to email each other, and well, we all know that sometimes that was difficult, but that was part of the communication of this. And we had to do different times. This would be the second time doing a video chat, and arranging a good time to do all of that. The Skype issues, we've had problems with Skype. And then we had to use Google Docs. And the end goal was to basically try and end the stigma of mental health and the questions, we use standardized survey questions to try and gather the information. Like she had mentioned, not everybody was willing to. My neighbor, she's 40, and she goes, "That's too personal. I'm not answering any of those questions." So that's also something that I think we had some problems with. Some people were not willing to. As far as in the construction, we had to ask each other different questions about what we were going to talk about and how we were going to address it. And well, what we all learned from mental health is we should talk about it. And it should be talked about more often, especially now that it's finally something that people are talking about. There's different types of issues that go on, like you had mentioned, that we just don't. And yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and give it to you, Anthony.
So I'll go ahead and talk about how we administered the survey. I feel like it was pretty straightforward how we gave it out. Some of us gave it out in school, others gave it out at work, and also our family, friends, or whatnot in the community as well. We administered to it. I know personally I gave mine out to my coworkers, like during my break and stuff. So that was how we got a majority of our surveys. Finally, I'll tell you about the coding, tabulations, and analysis for our results. So we had over 40 plus surveys. I will give you a rundown of what our main answers were for them. So for our grouping, our first question was, what is your range? We had ranges from 18 to 22, 23 to 27, and 28 and above. Everything was pretty much spread out. I feel like we all gave our surveys out to a good group of people that wasn't in the same range, so that we got a more broad idea of what was going on. Our main age ranges that we got back were 18 to 22. For our genders, I feel like that was also evenly distributed. We had a good variety of male and female. As Catherine said earlier, for household income was one of our questions. Some questions people didn't feel comfortable answering. Obviously, college students, we don't make a lot at the time. So some of them just didn't feel comfortable, circling any. A majority of people said they were not listed in the military. Next question was the knowledge of the illness. A lot of people knew and were aware of mental illness or people that suffered from it. A lot of people knew more than one. Some examples were anxiety and depression, bipolar disorder, and PTSD. We had a lot of people in our surveys that circled more than one. Some people circled all of them even. As regards to speaking more openly about it, if people were to be looked at differently, I do believe people should speak more openly about it. It's something in today's world that is looked at in a different way. Some people that have it know most about it, and others that don't, tend to look at it in a different way. But only the people that actually have gone through it or have some type of mental illness know truly how they feel. And that goes into the next question of, do you think more people would seek treatment if health insurance covered it? We do believe so, and a majority of the people in the surveys do think so. Like I said, it's a sensitive subject in today's world, and only the people that have gone through it or have that know exactly how they feel, and they know how to cope with it the best that they can. Access to resources in the daily life. I feel like everybody has an access to it. You could talk to somebody. Not everybody may listen, may not help you, but some people will listen. As far as work and university, our surveys, we got mixed reactions for it, that people said the university or work goes above and beyond to help people out in regards to that. So with that being said, I'll pass it over to Christina for the conclusion.
In conclusion, mental health is a huge topic that we felt is not addressed enough. Our research was mixed on some answers like availability, and some were straightforward with yes or no, like changes in health insurance and whatnot. Of course, not everyone has the same opinion, and it was interesting to look at other people's views. Mental health awareness is important and could always be advanced. Now, mental health is not always talked about much, and awareness could be advanced. For in review, we had to first figure out the problem area selection. The second, we had to do our outside research. Third, we had to construct our interview guide. And next, we had to do the construction for our survey. Then we had to administer the survey. And finally, coding, tabulation, and analysis for our survey, which was a little more time consuming than giving the survey out, actually. So we should not be afraid to talk about our illness, just like someone with a physical condition. And I will close with a quote from Glenn Close that reads, "What mental health needs more is more sunlight, more candor, and more unashamed conversation."